Whether you know it or not, Pavlov's theory applies not only to dogs, but to car enthusiasts as well. Don't believe me? Well, just mention the 400 horsepower V10 Dodge Viper to any car nut, then stand back and watch them drool. We've had several opportunities to drive Chrysler's retro roadster, but never for very long and never on our own home turf. Until now. We recently went one-on-one with a Viper at Pocono International Raceway. Let's see who won. Our Dodge Viper looked right at home in Pocono's pit lane. This competition environment reinforced the Viper's resemblance to classic road race cars, like its spiritual predecessor, the Shelby Cobra. Our drivers were anxious to get behind the wheel, since their previous Viper experiences had been mostly on public roads, where it was impossible to safely evaluate the limits of this awesome car's performance. There was also the challenge of taming its massive 400 horsepower V10 engine. This 488 cubic inch aluminum pushrod monster is the most exciting new engine to roll out of a U.S. automaker in years. We also wondered whether the stock, low-profile 17-inch tires, which provided reasonable dry weather grip but were completely overwhelmed by torque in the rain, were up to the demands of such hard driving. But first came high-altitude acceleration testing. 0 to 60, 5.2 seconds. A quarter mile, 13.6 seconds at 107 miles per hour. We were somewhat underwhelmed by the wheezing exhaust note, but the speed was certainly there. The Viper's 6-speed Borg-Warner gearbox requires a firm hand, but rewards the driver with crisp, positive shifts. We also had to get familiar with the brakes, critical on a racetrack. 60 to 0 took 125 feet and warned us to watch out for some lockup from the right front disc. While the brakes cooled down, our crew also discussed whether the Viper would look better in its original red finish or the additional new 93 hue of jet black. Then, with the brakes cool and the tire pressure set, it was time. Our first track impression was the same as for the street. The engine's massive torque hauls the Viper out of corners like a giant jackrabbit. Pick the wrong gear? No problem. 462 pound-feet on tap, this beast has torque to spare. All this power means that you can point the Viper with just a tap of the gas pedal. The short wheelbase and quick steering give it lightning-quick turn-ins. It runs along the high-speed banking, confirmed that the Viper needs an experienced hand at triple-digit speeds. During a refueling break, the drivers were polled on their opinions of the Viper cockpit. All praised the no-nonsense instrument layout, and the seat's generous side bolsters held them tightly in place in even the hardest corners. Important in a car that is as easy and as much fun to oversteer as this one is. All agreed that the Viper is one of the most exciting and entertaining cars that we've had on a track in years. Someone even suggested a one-make Viper racing series. Now, wouldn't that be a hoot? So despite all of the attention and approval that a Viper may draw out on the street, and the fact that it is one of the most drivable supercars ever, its best characteristics are wasted in that sedate environment. The $50,000 Dodge Viper is a car that is at its best when driven at the limit. Few cars that we've ever experienced were this much of a thrill to drive fast. And it made us feel like winners, lap after lap after lap.